All right, so you're thinking about a career as a fiber machine tender. Huh. Well, getting ready for that interview is super important, and that's what we're diving into today. We're using RoleCatcher's resources to get a feel for the job itself and the interview process. They've even got some cool AI tools that we'll talk about.
Yeah, RoleCatcher really digs into the specifics of different jobs. It's not just general interview advice. It's like a cheat sheet for this exact role.
Right. So before we even get to the interview questions, let's break down what a fiber machine tender actually does. It sounds pretty technical. What are we talking about here?
Basically, you're working with these huge extrusion machines. They take filaments, those super thin fibers, and turn them into sliver. Think of it like a continuous rope of fiber. It's kind of like the starting point for making fabrics and stuff.
Oh, okay, so like those giant spools of thread you see at a fabric store,
Yeah.
but way bigger, I guess. What kinds of materials do they work with?
All kinds. You could be dealing with fiberglass, different polymers, rayon. Each material acts a little differently in the machine, so you got to know the ins and outs.
Gotcha. So it's not just pushing buttons, it's understanding the materials. Okay, let's say you're in the interview and they ask you, what inspired you to pursue this career? What's a good way to answer that?
They're looking for real interest here. Anyone can learn the steps, but they want to see why you're actually drawn to this field.
Okay, so what makes a good answer then?
Just be honest. Think about what first got you interested. Was it the technology, the problem-solving aspect, maybe the impact these materials have on everyday stuff?
So if someone's fascinated by how synthetic fibers are made, that's a good starting point.
Totally. You could talk about always being curious about the science behind it, how those raw ingredients become the clothes we wear, or maybe you love tinkering with machines and figuring out how things work.
That makes sense. Now I'm betting they'll probably follow up with, why this company? How much research did you do before the interview?
Oh, definitely do your homework. Look into their values, the products they make, maybe their reputation. Find something that clicks with you and connect it to your own career goals.
So if they're big on sustainability and I'm passionate about eco-friendly materials, that's a good link.
Exactly. It shows you're not just looking for any job. You actually care about what they do.
And I think this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in, right?
Yeah, their AI can help you pick out those key points in the job description and tailor your answers.
Interesting. We'll definitely have to talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the interview. What about those questions that focus on your experience? Like, what experience do you have working with fiber machines?
This is where you showcase your skills. Even if you haven't worked on their exact machine model, have you operated similar machinery? Do you have experience with any extrusion processes, worked with any of the materials they use?
So even if it's not a perfect match, you can still highlight those transferable skills.
Absolutely. And don't forget about any relevant classes you've taken or even personal projects, anything that shows you're interested and capable.
So even if you've never touched a fiber machine, if you've rebuilt a car engine that shows some mechanical aptitude.
Exactly. It's all about connecting the dots for them.
Right. It's about showing them how your skills are applicable. Okay, but what about those questions that are more about you, like your personality and work style? RoleCatcher mentioned, what are your strengths as a fiber machine tender? How do you answer that without sounding like you're bragging?
Well, it is not a chance to brag. But strategically, think back to the job description. What skills did they emphasize?
So if they mentioned attention to detail, problem-solving, teamwork, those are my strengths.
Exactly. But don't just list them. Back them up with specific examples. Like you could say, I'm very detail-oriented. In my last job, I noticed a problem with the material feed rate that others missed. By fixing it, I prevented a production delay.
So show them. Don't just tell them.
Right. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you pinpoint those key strengths from the job description and give you ideas for how to talk about your experience.
I'm starting to see how useful that AI can be. Okay, let's move on to another common question. How do you ensure quality control in your work? What are they really getting at with that?
They want to see that you understand quality control and have a system. It's not enough to just say, I pay attention to detail.
So what are some good examples to show them your process?
Talk about specific steps, like how you inspect materials, set machine parameters, do regular checks throughout the process. Mention any quality control tools or methods you've used.
So for example, I could say, I always double-check the raw material certifications, and I calibrate the machine based on the material and how thick the fibers need to be.
Exactly. You're not just winging it. You have a system in place to ensure quality, and that's what they want to hear.
All right, we're making good progress here. We've covered some of those common interview questions, but there's still more to talk about.
We're back and ready to tackle some more of those tricky interview questions. Remember, being prepared is key to feeling confident and showing them you're the perfect fit.
All right, bring on the challenge. RoleCatcher mentioned a question about troubleshooting, something like, how do you troubleshoot issues during production? How do you approach this one?
It's all about showing off those problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
They want to see that you can think on your feet when things go wrong. Stuff happens, so instead of panicking, you've got a plan.
Right. So how do you explain your process without sounding like you're reading from a manual?
Think of it like a detective story. You got to gather clues. First, you explain how you get information. Do you check the data from the machine? Look for any obvious problems, maybe consult the manual, or even ask colleagues for help.
So it's like you have a mental checklist you run through to eliminate possibilities.
Exactly. And if you've got any stories about problems you've solved in the past, this is the time to share. Maybe you noticed something was off with the fiber thickness, and by looking at the data, you figured out a part needed replacing.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Shows you're not just reacting, you're thinking ahead.
Exactly. And it highlights those analytical skills and your technical knowledge. Super important for a Fibre Machine Tender. Oh, and don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice these kinds of questions.
Really? How so?
You can run through different situations and get feedback on how to structure your answers. Make sure you're clear and concise.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
Okay, what about time management? I saw one question on RoleCatcher's list that asked, how do you prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively? I mean, isn't that pretty straightforward? You just do the most urgent stuff first, right?
Well, in manufacturing, things can change pretty quickly. Production schedules get moved, equipment breaks down. You got to be flexible and organized.
So they want someone who can stay calm and adjust when things go sideways.
Yeah, and they want to know you have a system. Do you use to-do lists, project management tools, or maybe break down big tasks into smaller chunks?
It's also about thinking ahead, right?
Yeah.
Like if you know a certain machine always acts up on Mondays, you schedule extra maintenance to avoid problems later in the week.
Now that is proactive thinking. It shows you're planning for the unexpected, which is a huge plus in any production job. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can actually point out potential time management challenges specific to the job you're applying for. Their algorithms analyze tons of data to help you prepare.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay, let's talk about safety for a minute. It's obviously a big deal in manufacturing. RoleCatcher had a question about, how do you ensure safety in the workplace? What are they looking for with this question?
They want to know you're truly committed to safety. Not just that, the rules, it's about having that safety-first mindset.
So more than just reciting a list of safety protocols.
Yeah, talk about specific actions. Do you always check machine guards? Wear your PPE even if it's not always comfy. Participate in safety training and encourage your coworkers to do the same.
It's about being responsible for yourself and those around you.
Exactly. And if you have any safety certifications or experience with safety programs, mention those too. It all helps paint a picture of you as someone who values safety.
Okay, I'm feeling better about handling those safety questions now. What about questions about career aspirations? I saw one on RoleCatcher that asked about long-term goals. How much should you share?
It's good to show ambition, but make sure your goals align with what the company needs and where they're headed.
So maybe don't say, I want to have your job in 5 years.
Probably not the best approach. Instead, focus on how your goals can help the company. Maybe you're interested in leading a team or mentoring new hires, which helps them grow. Or maybe you're into the technical stuff and see yourself moving into a maintenance role.
It's all about learning and growing, right? RoleCatcher emphasized staying up to date with industry trends.
Absolutely. They want to see you're constantly learning and improving your skills.
So how do you show them you're a lifelong learner? Just saying I read industry magazines doesn't cut it right.
Think about real examples. Do you go to conferences or webinars, take online courses to learn new skills? Are you part of any professional groups?
Maybe I could say something like, I'm really interested in the whole bio-based polymer thing, and I've been taking online courses to learn more about them.
Now that's a great answer. It shows you're taking initiative, learning new stuff, and open to innovation. All super important in today's manufacturing world. Plus, RoleCatcher's AI can actually look at your resume and point out areas where you can highlight that commitment to learning.
Wow, it's like having a personal career coach.
Right. And remember, their AI can also give you feedback on your interview answers, help you polish your delivery and sound more confident.
This is all incredibly helpful. We've covered so much on interview prep, but there's one more thing we need to talk about, the future of the industry itself. So we've talked a lot about how to nail that interview. But now I'm kind of curious about the bigger picture. What's coming down the road? RoleCatcher's career guide mentioned something called Industry 4.0. What is that exactly? And how's it going to change things for fiber machine tenders?
It's basically the next big revolution in manufacturing, like automation, data exchange, artificial intelligence, all coming together. For fiber machine tenders, it means the job is getting more high-tech.
So are robots going to take over? Should I be worried?
Not take over exactly, but definitely changing things.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. Robots might handle the more repetitive stuff, frees you up to focus on the things that really need a human touch.
Okay, that makes sense. What kinds of skills will be important as this technology takes off?
Technical skills are still number one. You got to understand the machines, the materials, how it all works. But now you also need good analytical skills to make sense of all that data, problem solving to tackle those tougher issues. And you got to be able to learn new tech as it comes out.
So it's like a mix of hands-on skills and being quick on your feet, like a tech-savvy craftsperson.
Exactly. And don't forget those soft skills, communication, teamwork, being able to explain technical stuff clearly. Those become even more important when you're working with both humans and machines.
RoleCatcher also mentioned other career paths besides being an operator, like supervisor roles, quality control, even maintenance. How does Industry 4.0 affect those options?
It opens up some exciting doors. We might see new specialized roles pop up, like operators who use data to optimize production or those who work with the latest cutting-edge materials.
So there's a path for everyone, whether you're more hands-on or analytical.
Totally. The important thing is to be curious, keep learning, and be willing to adapt as the industry changes.
That's good advice for any career, really. Any final tips on how to stay ahead of the game in the fiber machine world?
Don't be afraid to try new things, push your limits. Look for training to learn new skills, network with other professionals. Go to industry events. Stay up to date on the latest tech and materials.
And of course, use tools like RoleCatcher's AI to make your resume stand out and practice those interview answers.
Absolutely. It's all about reaching your full potential and showing employers what you've got in this new tech-driven world.
This has been an awesome deep dive. I feel like I've not only learned how to ace the interview, but I've gotten a glimpse into the future of the whole industry. Thanks for all the insights.
You're going to do great in that interview. And remember, this is just the start. The fiber machine world is always changing. And with the right attitude, you can be a leader in that change.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration of careers and knowledge.